Hi everybody, it's Elizabeth, and today I am here with a galaxy silhouette painting that we are going to work on. So I wanted to go over some of the materials that you will need to create this painting. So you're going to need a printed silhouette of your choice. This is only if you need help drawing a silhouette. If you want to do it on your own, that works too. You'll definitely need a pencil, you'll need an eraser, and you'll need preferably watercolor paper, but it's okay if you don't have watercolor paper. You can use cardstock or construction paper instead. You're going to want to use a heavier weight paper than just regular printer paper because we're going to be using a lot of water, and a lighter weight paper may rip or tear a little bit too easily. You're also going to need a white crayon and some water, of course, and your watercolor paints. And it comes in handy to have some paper towels around so you can wipe off your brush if you need to. So let's get into the painting. I'll show you what our finished art project will look like. So here it is. So we're basically going to be making a silhouette, kind of a galaxy silhouette here. So you can do whatever shape you like. You can draw it yourself, or I'm going to show you how you can trace the silhouette. And you can make, you know, a profile of a face. You can make a dog, whatever you would like to do. It's totally up to you. You can use your creativity. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to, if you're not going to draw it yourself, you're going to need to print out a silhouette outline. So this is a silhouette outline I printed out of a cat. And remember that it's going to be flipped. So you'll see in just a moment. But when you trace it onto your paper, it's going to end up being flipped. So what you're going to do to get it to trace onto your paper is you are going to use, as you can see, this is a number 2 pencil. So you want to make sure that you're using a number 2 pencil. And you are going to just go over the outline. And you're going to press down kind of hard. And you're just going to do that all around. You want to outline. I've already done it on this one. So you're going to just go over that outline really hard with your number 2 pencil. And it's okay if you kind of go out of the line a little bit. You can just erase it. It's not a big deal. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way around your entire picture. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over. I've already used this one, but you can use your silhouettes multiple times, just so you know. So then what you're going to do, you're going to flip it over on the paper, and you're just going to take your pencil and you're just going to go over your outline, kind of coloring it with your pencil. And as you can see, I already did that for this one. I did it all the way around. And again, if you want to make more than one of these paintings, you can use the same one. You can keep outlining and going over that outline several times. Okay, so then when you do that, this is what it ends up looking like. So you can see there's that very faint outline. And as I told you, the image that you originally started with is flipped. So this is what the outline looks like. And if your outline is maybe a little bit too faint, you can always just go over it a little bit with your pencil just so you can see it. Because we want the end result to kind of look, you know, like there's no harsh lines. Unless you would like, if you would like yours to have that outline, that's up to you. but this is how you do it without that outline visible. So you might want to just go over just a tiny little bit, make a light line over some parts that didn't show up so well, and then you're ready for the next step. So then what you're going to do, if you would like, I like to do this because then I can be a little bit more creative with my watercolors, is you're just going to take a white crayon and you are going to just go along the outside, just outside of that line that you drew, just to make sure that any of the paint that you have doesn't leak outside of your silhouette. And also, since we're doing a galaxy, I'll show you on the one that I finished, we can make little dots and little starbursts. And what you're going to do for that is you're just going to use your white crayon and you're just going to make those little dots and those little starbursts on your silhouette. And that will prevent the paint from showing up in whichever spot you use your white crayon. So now for the fun part, we get to paint. So I just have very basic watercolor paints and some water. So I'm going to start out with some water. And I am just going to make sure that my entire cat picture here on the inside of the line is starting out just a little bit wet, just a little bit damp. And I'm using watercolor paper, which makes it a little bit easier to blend your watercolor paints. I know that not everybody has watercolor paper at home, so I would definitely recommend using paper that's at least a little bit thicker than normal printer paper, just because, you know, with this amount of water, you don't want it to tear or crinkle too much. So you could probably get away with using construction paper or cardstock or something like that if you don't have any watercolor paper at home. But if you're interested in buying watercolor paper, I think that they should have it available at places like Michael's and Joann Fabrics and things like that. Okay, so I think that all of my cat is wet now. So then you're going to have to decide what colors you want to paint with. So you want to use colors that are going to mix really well. So as you can see in this one that I finished, I used blue and purple, and I used a little bit of black at the end, and I'll show you that as well. So I want to use, I think today I'm going to use warm colors because I usually use cool colors for everything. So I'm going to use some warm colors. So I'm going to start out with some yellow, and my yellow has a little bit of orange in it already, just because it already got mixed up a little bit. So then you're just going to start adding your colors, and I think I'm going to go top to bottom. I'm going to start with yellow at the top, and then I'm going to use red at the bottom, and then I'll use orange in the middle. Okay, and you can kind of see those little white spots that I made earlier starting to show through. You can kind of see that. Okay, so I think then, and sometimes if you move your paper around, you can get that paint to move around a little bit because we started out with a wet canvas essentially. So then I think I'm going to use my orange. So I'm using orange in the center here. All right, and you're just going to continue on painting. So for this one, and as I said before, you can kind of move your painting around. If you have, especially if you have watercolor paper, you can kind of move your painting around a little bit, and it kind of bleeds together, and it just looks really nice. So I think I'll just go ahead and finish this while I am taping. We're going to make the tail red. Okay, so then I'll use some red up here. And you can use whatever colors you want. You don't have to use the same colors I used. You can do it however you like, but like I said, I would recommend using colors that kind of mix together well. So you could use all cool colors, all warm colors. You could just use colors that, oop, I kind of got a lot of orange in that one. You could just use colors that mix to make another color, like red and blue to make orange, or sorry, red and blue to make purple. I'm seeing my orange and I was thinking orange. But red and blue, and you can make purple. And then if you have any kind of areas that you don't kind of like how they mixed, you can always take a little extra water and just dilute it out a little bit. So then it's almost like erasing it. I'm going to do that down here too. You can just play around. This is a really good project to kind of play around with watercolors and see how they mix together and just get kind of some experience using watercolor paints. So I would like to use black, but I'm trying to figure out how exactly I want to use it. So I think I might end up using it as sort of an outline. So let's see how that goes. You can always add a little extra. And again, just use this opportunity to play around with your watercolors, see how they spread out on the paper. This also will kind of give you a better idea of how watercolors dry, because they definitely look a lot different once they've dried than how they look when they're still wet. For example, this did not look quite so blended when it was wet, but then I like how it dried. It dried pretty nice in my opinion. So you can just play around with it, and remember that you can use your silhouettes over and over again. I would say probably you can use them until they tear. So you can definitely use those over and over again and make as many of these as you want. And just play around with your watercolors. I'm going to keep playing around with mine. So I hope that you enjoy this project and you try it at home. If you do try it at home, please share a picture with us. We would love to see what you come up with. Let me show you my finished project again. Okay, there we go. There's my finished project from earlier. And I really hope that you enjoy this. Again, if you create this at home, please make sure to share it with us on our Facebook page. We would love to see them. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.